Wakahe, Okahe, Tiawi, global family, water nations, we all are. Greetings, greetings. Today is a beautiful day. I'd like to continue our journey to four sacred elements that are going, and I bring you into my home, in my heart, into the waters that I'm living in, within, and I send those greetings out to you from the sacred lands here upon the nations of the Yavapai Apache, that of the Hopi and the Navajo people and the Sinawa, always honoring the ancestors of all the places for which the waters have flowed through all of man's existence here and before. I'd like to continue the journey. My intention is to continue the journey that the Hopi elder Reuben started. If you saw him, if not, I'd encourage you to go and to take a look at that too. But the continuation of what water speaks within me is that let's get into the continuity of the flowing of the message of this experiment of what we're doing on a global conscious level. And in that, I'd like to stay in that flowing and stay in the knowing that we are in the flowing together. So what spoke to me this morning of the sacred waters within me is that to share with you that what we're doing here in this experiment as, and we know that the human is the biggest experiment on the planet. But in this particular experiment of demonstrating that the Creator, the one of many names, and is actually the living source that lies within. As I listened personally to Dr. Emoto share this in the time that was coming, where he would be making that crossing over from the mighty bridge of the river, over the river of life. I am now here in that 70th revolution of the sun that he was in when he and I met. A synchronicity has brought us to this flowing place. And with that, I would like to, my intention here is to connect us to the four sacred elements of which water happens to be the primary essence of what our world is being focused on today. And so, as in some of our beautiful spiritual rooms and circles that we walk in together as family in many different four directions of the world, the intention of the waters within me of the listening to that voice this morning spoke how to bring that about. And so I ask in a humble way, as an elder who is still learning so much, and I'm here not to offend anyone's beliefs, faiths, essences of how it is you live and walk in your earth walk life. But in the flowiness of what I am sharing with you, I'm just a humble messenger. And to do this for today, I was told that to look upon Mother Earth and to see and to make the effort to comprehend how in science says, the science world says, at the center of this planet is this molten hot energy, all this volcanic that's just right in the center. And then we have these layers of life, and then on top, all the flowing waters. How can that exist together? How can that be? Well, the fires are not burning up the waters, and the waters are not putting out the molten fire within, all in one being. Oh my goodness, that sacredness is that the twin flame that I speak of is what's given to me to say, it is time the twin flame of fire and water come together in the flowing essence of the energy of life. So here today we have this place where we are in this part of the world. If you are in this part of the Northern Hemisphere, we just had this new moon. The new moon, this grandmother moon, who rises the oceans and the tides and accentuates the rapidity flowing of the tributaries, the streams into the rivers, into Mother Ocean, rises. And if you felt an emotional week and still feel that emotion today, it is the sacred waters within you that are rising with the energy of this grandmother moon. We are connected cosmically, unconsciously, and most of us, subconsciously, and some of us, and even probably less than that in the conscious sense. But we are that oneness all the way from the star nations. We are rising our emotional days, feeling life, whether it's happy or unhappy, whether it's bad or not so good. It is who we are. And today we come to acknowledge that we are part of that experiment. And in this place we are present today because what we're doing here is, I've been told to show with us, take the journey with me, this elder, this humble elder, walk with me, flow with me, get in your canoe or get into the waters. But what we must do today is to strike the fire that lies within us. I will guide you in this way as I show you, as you help me to make this journey. I light this flame, and I, in my own way, take this fire to the inwardness of self and acknowledge the sacred fire that lies within me, eternally burning through all of time and beyond. And now, I ask you, consciously connect to that sacred fire within. And for most of us, whenever we're sitting at home or we're in our travels, we always manage to have some water with us in our travels that we take to refresh ourselves. So as we have lit this fire within us, consciously connecting to the sacred fire, I ask you, in some places they say, take a breath with me. I am asking you to take a drink with me from your water container. When you have a moment, as we take this drink together, I am asking you to hold this mouthful of water and consciously connect the fire and the consciousness of the water you're holding to everyone who is watching. Connect that the one cell of life that is common denominator of all living things and breathing here in our world of Mother Earth, and connect ourselves with this one drink and hold it for about 30 seconds and connect to every one of us. Let us do this now. And then once we take that down, we will consciously be completely connected to one another's all around the world, from the north to the south, from the east to the west, in the circle of life that you see here. Together, let us drink. Ancient language, Ubuntu, Swahili, I am you as you am I. I am you as you are I. Ubuntu. In Lakech, you are as I am as you are. What is it that connects us in this most beautiful, profound way that we can make this vibration of exchange to one another? What recognizes that essence of the heart that carries the fire and the sacred waters together? Give it a conscious thought that we are in this circle and that the Sacred Heart has 4 chambers, carries the fire of life, and yet the waters flow through all 4 chambers from the 4 directions of who we are all from, connected in this oneness, as it's called, but actually it is in the nothingness of the oneness of the cosmic living energy, vibration, frequency, whatever it is we wish to give it a name. It knows. It knows. And now we know together as this family. And as I am a small stream flowing from the top of the mountain to my mother, this is the story that I've been given to carry, to join the other streams, to fall into the rivers and to follow the rivers, making way, making sometimes new banks, because sometimes we get into the overflowing. And that helps us to get out of the overwhelming of life. It is this the way I walk. I stay in the overflowing, creating new banks with the joy and the ultimate infinite love that I have been filled with from the cosmic place of the flowing river of stars, the flowing waters of all life as we come together here. This is what we are here for today. We call it an experiment, but this is the eternal now moment where we're joined together in this one place of the unseen realm that lies all around us. If you heard my little story about the fish and the elder who came and said, the water is nice today, it's great. And they said, yes. And then they went, what's water? And they went looking for water. But here we are. We're all looking for that essence of creation to lay or bow our heads to, and to kneel and to lift up. And yet, when we look into the water, what do we see? What do we look into and see when we look into the river flowing, or a pond, or even the bathtub? What do we see? We see our reflection. We see our own face. We see the Creator that's living here in this sacred and holy vessel. This water vessel is what we are, made just the old ways with the clay of the earth is who we are here. Fired is a pottery in the sacred fire. And then the waters pour in, flowing, moving every organ, every memory, all of the essence of which it is that we are. So it is. And in this time, we then need the air that comes. And when we take that, as we say, take a breath with me, we hold that and we feed the oxygen of the H2O together, and it's all the oneness. Here we are, the sacred 4 elements of life and the greatest beauty of all that's been created. If you remember, some of you have heard that every snowflake that has ever fallen from the Sky Nation, every single one of them looks different, but comes from the same source. Who do you think we are? Who do you think we are from the beginning of beyond time, as the snows have fallen upon Mother Earth in so many places, with all those beautiful trillions and billions and trillions times trillions of millions and billions, quadrillions of snowflakes from all this time, and all different, but all so filled with beauty, filled with water and such. Who do you think we are? You can adopt Snowflake as a middle name if you'd like, But we are all the snowflakes that have been brought from the sacred places, from all the four directions. And in that, we look upon each other and we then create this judgment of separation, isolation. We create the things that man says, let's dam this up. So we start building our moats, and we start building walls to protect those beautiful emotions of the rivers of life that flow through us. Because we get afraid and we start walking in the fear instead of walking in the love of life that flows right through us. What limitations we put upon ourselves that we don't meld into the flow of life on a daily basis. We do everything we can to separate ourselves, create icons and little figures and names across t-shirts of celebrities and all. And yet, we're all the same. You walk into a meadow of what's out there today, the beautiful meadows of the poppies in California, of the saguaros in Arizona, and they're all different. But they don't stand there and say, oh, I'm prettier than you are, or you don't have a voice, or the birds don't land on you like they land on me. They live and flow together and create the most panoramic landscape you can imagine. And in between all that is seen is the reflection of the sacred flowing of life that's filled with water, with air, with spirit. We are the spirit of the river of life, as Jesus said. As I said, not to offend anyone, but he used that also as an example. I am the river of life. I am the river of life. I am that, the river of life. Today I am not, so that I am the river of life. I don't need to be in order to be, because I already am. In this beautiful way, allow me to share another short story. It was given to me here with an essence and the presence that when I practice the principles that water has shown me, that to flow, you have to stop clinging. To go with the current, you have to stop holding. Stop picking up a rock and say it's mine. Let it go and get in the flow. I walked down to a river about 10 minutes from my home not long ago. And I took with me some sage and my shell to do ceremony, to go down and to say, here I am, sacred water. Here I am, sacred mother, sacred sister. Oh, and let us not forget that water is the sacred feminine and the healing energy of all things. For who else in our species gives life, creates life? Together we do this. But the delivery of living essence from the sacred waters of the womb is where we come from. That's the water nation. So I'm down at this beautiful river with a little chair sitting right in the flow, coming towards me. And the river's low this time of year. And so it comes down. And I have with me a little cassette that has some music, medicine music from the Apache Nation that I've been given permission to record so I can learn to sing the songs in the ceremonies or in my daily day. And so I'm sitting there, I burn some sage, I drop some tobacco to honor my sister mother, and say, I am here. It is I, the little boy that used to come to the rivers and down at the beach. I'm now here. I'm still that little boy, but I am a little older now. But receive me as I come to you in love. May I put my chair in your stream. And I did. And I sat and I made a prayer just from the heart. And I started to play these beautiful songs. And I started to sing. And the resonance of my heart, the resonance of my vibration with my feet in the water, sitting in this little beach chair with about this much space between myself and where the water was. I'm sitting here and the water's here. And no more than 2 minutes had gone by, and the water started doing this in my song. And I was feeling the water rising. And then the slow, beautiful flowing began to make its way faster, began to go faster and faster. And I thought, what a strange phenomenon. Water's coming faster now. And then I feel it raising up beyond my ankles. And then it was up to here. And it was now overflowing the banks of where I was sitting. And it kept rising and flowing faster and faster. I was singing and singing for 45 minutes. This song's coming, and I'm singing the songs, and my heart's filled with joy, and I'm learning, and I'm feeling the waters rising, and my eyes are wide open, and I'm acknowledging that finally, somewhere in that period of time, this ancient being was me, we were us. This ancient being was acknowledging with joy, which was the fast rapidness of water. It was singing with me, the joy of life. We were together singing, and when it touched the bottom of my bottom, I was like, whoa, oh, and the water's running right past me, and things are clinging to my legs now. The little seaweed or the little brushes from the marsh are coming, and it's flowing and flowing and flowing. And I'm singing and singing, and then the songs come to an end. And the waters are running. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I bow before this beautiful, beautiful being in my chair. I say, I leave you now. I take my leave, I take my chair, and thank you for such a blessing. And I turn and I lift my chair out of the water. I turn my back to the river, to the stream that's like a small river now. And I put my chair down, and I hear, I hear an audible human sigh, a voice. I looked up. I thought someone was watching. I turned around and I faced the beautiful being of the flowing, and I saw the waters go back to where they were when I had stepped in. And I was so blessed. I started to cry. I had never had such an amazing, inexplicable, great mystery experience of this at this time in my life or before. And as I went to go collect my shell and the sage, which was all now underwater because the waters had risen and they were soaked, I left the sage as an offering, picked up my shell, and as I turned around, I have to tell you, a hummingbird flew right over my head and started drinking from the small little puddle of water that was left when the water went back down, turned around, looked at me, and then flew right back over my head. And I was like, and I turned around, and another hummingbird from the other direction came and did the same thing, looked at me and flew back into that same direction. And I was like, and then another hummingbird came from the opposite direction drank from the water, did a little dance, looked at me, and went back the same direction. And I'm beside myself by now. And then another hummingbird, the last of the 4 directions, flew in and did the exact same thing. And they all did the hummingbird dance, drinking some water and going back into the direction of life from which they came. I have held this memory in my heart for all this time because it's been a while, a few years ago. And I walked in wonderment through the sacred forest, the cottonwood forest that I walked through in order to get to this place, this ceremonial place. And I have learned since then that the waters within me have spoken to say, this is all that we are looking for. Surrender your heart. Surrender your ego and your pride and your mind. Rise in the heart of yourself and become one with me. And when you become one with me, we shall flow mightily from the stream you are to the mighty ocean that lies within. Don't be afraid to be the humble stream, because what lies within you is the tsunami of life. And let it pour with all the love beyond self. Oh, Takyas. Lamia family, thank you.